Hello everyone and welcome back to another Destiny 2 build video. Today I've got another Warlock build for you and it's definitely centered more towards solo play. I do enjoy playing with a fire team, play with the clan all the time, run through some of the higher tier content. However, sometimes it's nice to just go through some of that harder content on your own to add a little bit more of a challenge. Today the subclass we are using is Voidwalker. I've gone for Top Tree. It's a great subclass. The Nova Bomb does a lot of damage on there, and the main point that I want to be using is actually Chaos Accelerant, which allows us to overcharge our grenade, making it do more damage and last a little bit longer, I think. I've been a Warlock main since Destiny started, so I should know that, but it's only I think. You could, of course, use Bottom Tree if you prefer as well. And if you are struggling to survive on this build, I would recommend using Bottom Tree, as you get Devour, which every time you get a kill allows you to regenerate all of your health and helps with your grenade regeneration. And of course, in an emergency, you can just eat your grenade and you get all of your health back at any point. So really good skill tree there as well. We're going to be using Vortex Nades, Healing Rift, and Burst Glide. So onto our weapons. You've got a couple of choices for our first slot, and that really depends on what tier of content you're doing. If you're doing something with Overload Champions and Barrier Champions, for example, this is the loadout that we're going to be using, okay? If you are doing something with Unstoppable and Barrier Champions, you can take off the bow and maybe put on an ignition code or a sniper so you can get a little bit extra damage out on bosses and mages, because we're going to be using the Hardlight as an auto rifle for the anti-barriers, and we'll be using our Threaded Needle as the linear fusion rifle to stop the Unstoppables. As I said, this is designed to be more of a solo higher tier content build. So the reason we've chosen the Hardlight is because it can change from Arc, Solar, or Void whenever you're using it, allowing you to bypass that match game setting that is on a lot of the higher tier content. And of course, Threaded Needle is an absolutely fantastic linear fusion rifle after they buffed them all going into season 15 and with the new particle deconstruction mod that we have available. We've gone for Rapid Hit and Vorpal Weapon. Onto our stats. Really important that we keep our recovery as high as we can, because we're regenerating health much faster, and of course we want to maximize the amount of uptime that we're using on our Rift. And Discipline, we also want this up as high as we can. It ties in really nicely with a lot of the armor mods that we're using, and as I said, on Top Tree, that grenade does a lot of damage from overcharging it. With our intellect, it's not important that we get this too high. 50 is absolutely fine, and again, that comes into play with some of our armor mods that we're going to be using. The exotic armor piece we're looking for is Nezarec Sin. If you haven't used this yet, I'd be very, very surprised, but it's a great armor piece if you're running a Void class, because if you get any type of Void damage kill, whether that is weapon damage or ability damage, it increases the regeneration of all of your Void abilities. So that is your grenade, your melee, your Rift, and your super. So really top tier exotic if you're running anything to do with Void. We've got double linear fusion rifle ammo finder on here because we're only using a linear fusion rifle that takes ammo. If you do swap out to a sniper or a grenade launcher for some of the other types of content, I'd recommend dropping in an ammo finder for those. And we are using Font of Might, which allows us to max out our intellect every time we pick up an elemental well. So hence why we don't need high intellect on this particular build. Onto our gloves. So we've got the Overload Bow, which is something that we're going to be using later on when you see some of the Empire Hunt gameplay, and Anti-Barrier Auto Rifle. Again, if you're playing a different piece of content that requires Unstoppable, you can put the Unstoppable Fusion Rifle mod on and take off the bow one if it doesn't have overloads, or take off the barrier one if it doesn't have barriers, and so on. We also have Elemental Light here, so every time we cast our super and get a kill with it, it's going to spawn an Elemental Well that matches our subclass type. And on our armor, we have Well of Potency, which is a mod from the seasonal artifact It's 5 energy, but I think it's worth it because you get around 5% of your super back every time you pick up an elemental well, and we're going to be generating a lot of them, so this is a great way to get you super back very quickly, along with using Nezarec Sin as well. And I don't know about you guys, but I tend to get killed by void damage a lot in PvE, more so than anything else. So Concussive Dampener and Void Resist works well for me to try and keep me alive a little bit more. At boots, we have the Seasonal Artifact mod for Fusion Scavenger, allowing us to get a little bit more ammo every time we pick up a heavy ammo crate. And importantly, we have Elemental Ordnance. So tying into our grenade build again, every time we get a kill with a grenade, it's going to generate an elemental well that is void. So that's going to regenerate our grenade. Well, it regenerates all of our abilities, so you melee and you rift as well. But it's also going to add on to our Font of Wisdom and our elemental potency to regenerate our super a little bit faster. You can see a theme here. Everything gets regenerated all at the same time. It's a really cool build. Very fun to use. Lastly, we have Particle Deconstruction, my favorite mod from the Seasonal Artifact, and Elemental Armament. So every time we get a kill, primarily with our Hardlight in Void mode, it's going to generate, or it has a chance of generating an Elemental well. And of course, on the higher tier content, when you need to, you can just swap it back to your other shield types to destroy those shields from those particular enemies. So guys, that is the build. I hope you liked it. If you did, drop me a like down below, and if you want to see more, drop me a subscribe as well. There's plenty of builds on our channel, so hope you get to enjoy some of them. And if you do, let me know in the comments. If there's a better way that you can improve this build, or something that you'd like to add to it, let me know and I can have a look at it. It's always good for me to learn as well and see some of your builds. I'm always interested in that. We do stream 4 days a week on Twitch as well. There'll be a link down below in the description for you guys to have a look at. So drop by, say hello, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening, guys, and I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you.